Alright, here we are, folks. Welcome once again, welcome. My name is Jeff, and this is But Words Remain. And this is once again the Dark Souls 1 Remastered lore series. Hello to everybody on chat. As always, please let me know if everything is working fine on your end. Hello, Cindy. Praise the sun. I'm afraid there is no sun to praise here, but we are going to praise it anyway. Let's praise... I guess that's the moon, so let's praise the moon instead. There we go. There is no sun in this place, I'm afraid. We are in the painted world of Ariamis, or Ariamis, depending on how you would like to pronounce it. So, as always, hope you are having a good weekend. I sure am. I just got myself a nice mug of coffee. As always, starting the stream with a nice coffee. Taking a sip right about now. And let's get back to work, I believe, as Lorethrough would say. In the last episode, we pretty much explored all of the painted world, if I recall. My bloodstain is here because I got my ass handed to me on a silver platter by an invader. Yeah, it happens. Quite a nice way to end the episode. And we have a lot to explore because... let's deal with these... what are they called again? Undead phalanx over here. So I can explore this area without being peppered by javelins. That would be nice. Ah yes, the shield hitboxes. Quite insane on these guys. And they are using a measly leather shield, which is a bit unfair in my opinion. I don't get that much stability when I use a leather shield, but I guess that's a AI enemy unique perk. So, this is the painted world. We've already defeated Jeremiah in the last episode. The only thing left really is unlocking the door to the boss room. You like this place, Cindy? What do you like about this place exactly? We have to unlock the door to the boss, like I said, and we also have this side area right here, which is currently locked. Thankfully though, we can kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. We can get the key to that door and unlock the way to the boss at the same time. You like the atmosphere about this place. So do I, honestly. I've mentioned this in the last stream, but this was the very first level built for Dark Souls 1, so I think the designers went, you know, 110% on the atmosphere here. It's a very well-crafted level. So, seeing as we are in the painted world of Ariamis, we should probably talk a little bit about it. I don't think we talked a lot about it on the last episode, actually. We have a soul here and a ambush as well. That guy can hit me all the way from over there. That's not okay. Thankfully though, I have a halberd, so I have the reach advantage. Check the level of, I don't know, intelligence on the level design here. That guy could shoot us at the very start of the level. And he can also shoot us here, which is quite, you know, into the level. Speaking about progress. So that's quite impressive actually, you know, it's only one enemy, but he serves two different functions, basically. Well, Ah, we have this as well. I have completely forgotten about this, so I have to remind myself to pick that up. And I guess that's all that there is to see around here, yeah. So, what is the painted world exactly? Another torch hollow. It's basically a place where unwanted things end up. And we do learn quite a lot about it in Dark Souls 3, actually. In terms of Dark Souls 1, I feel like we knew very little about this place. Because there is snow and it's mysterious. Right, I think it's the only place in Dark Souls 1 with snow, if memory serves correctly. So let's slide down here. One quick microphone check, yeah, everything's okay. And my controller just disconnected. Come on, controller. There we go. We are back online. So, this is a place for unwanted things, basically, which is why we have these guys, these creepy wheel skeletons over here. And we have a bunch of other unique enemies, but enemies which would understandably be unwelcome in the outside world, I guess. We have those plague-bearing hollows, which will spill poison on you upon being defeated. Interestingly though, they also use pyromancy, which may or may not be a link to Izalith. We know there was some sort of plague in Blighttown, which is the area just outside Izalith, right? Which resulted in the area being turned into a poison swamp, so maybe there is some relation in there. Maybe the ones who got the worst of the plague, you know, these guys, were banished and were trapped in here. These enemies are so annoying, they are, yes. Once you learn how to deal with them, they are not that much trouble, but even then, they require you to pay attention. Like, you have to learn how to fight them and you have to do it correctly every single time, or you risk dying very easily. Yeah, see? I should have rolled, actually. But anyway. We are dealing quite a lot of damage, thankfully. That guy scared the living crap out of me, but no hit, apparently. I can't recall if I've gotten the skeleton wheel shield. Yeah, I may have, but I think I've stored it in my item box. But yes, we have wheel skeletons, we have plague bearer hollows as well. We have the mysterious Xanthos King Jeremiah, which is also possibly, most likely, another link to Izalith. And of course we have things like the Dark Ember, and obviously we have the boss of this level, which is Priscilla, a half-dragon breed. What the other half is a matter for debate. Is she half human and half dragon, or is she, you know, half god and half dragon? Another sip from my coffee as the cutscene plays. I've actually wondered a lot, because the most well-accepted theory is that Sif is the father of Priscilla, and Guinevere is the mother. And I feel like this is a theory which we have come to accept as a community, but more so based on convenience, you know. Priscilla has white scales, Sif has white scales, and Guinevere is the only female goddess that we know of. So we assume she is the mother, you know. But after playing Dark Souls 3 and after meeting the Nameless King, I don't know, guys, what if it's the other way around? What if the father was a god and the mother was a dragon? What if the Nameless King is Priscilla's father, and one of the reasons he was banished, basically, from his deity status. One of the reasons why he was erased from history was because not only he sided with dragons in some sort of rebellion against the gods, but also, you know, how do I put this without sounding weird? I don't want to say banged a dragon, because that's, you know, a bit uncouth, but what is a nice way of saying this? What if he joined with the dragons in matrimony? Yeah, let's go with that. Sounds weird, but this is Dark Souls, right? You know, I feel like we've seen weirder things than this. And it does make sense to some extent, because we do know that he sided with dragons in some way. I don't know, you guys tell me. Am I tripping? Am I reading too much into this? All I'm saying is, there is a more than zero possibility that the Nameless King did as Shrek's donkey and banged the dragon, and you can't get that idea out of my head, no matter what you say, you know? And for those of you who have just joined the stream and heard this as your, you know, first impression, you're welcome. But yeah, we have another little skeleton here. But yeah, Priscilla is a half dragon, half something. It is also implied that the painter whom we meet in Dark Souls 3 might be Priscilla's daughter. She is also half dragon, half god, apparently. And we also have another character in Dark Souls 3. You know, as I say this, this actually does make sense, because the other half dragon breed we meet in Dark Souls 3, I can't recall her name now, but she is the one who invites us into the Blades of the Dark Moon Covenant, and she refers to Gwyn as her grandfather, right? And Gwendolyn as her brother. So what if, you know, the Nameless King had two daughters with a dragon? And, you know, these are the two daughters. The one we find in Anor Londo, and the other one whom we find in the Painted World of Ariandel in the DLC. I don't know, guys. I'm just, you know, thinking a bunch of stuff here. We are loring, chat. We are doing some lore right now. But yeah, let me double check if we have anything else here. What a way to start the stream, everyone. What a way to start the stream. Alright, so we can go up the well, I believe. I don't think there's anything else down there. I think I've gotten all the items. And we did pick up the annex key. So let's check that out. Have we read the Lord Vessel? Remind me, chat, have we read this? We did defeat ONS in the last stream, but I don't think we've read the Lord Vessel, which is a very important item, lore-wise. Well, so let's have a look at this. This is the Lord Vessel. Lord Vessel bestowed upon the chosen undead, who is destined to succeed Lord Gwyn. The chosen undead is granted the art of warping between bonfires. Yeah, we didn't read this. To open the final door, place this vessel on the Firelink altar and fill it with powerful souls. Alright. But we'll talk more about this later, I guess. Let me get the annex key. Here we go. So, key to the annex in the Painted World of Ariamis. In the wintry Painted World, there is a structure resembling an old cathedral. Its annex serves as a type of storehouse. So let's check this storehouse. So this is the cathedral, basically. We also find lots of crows here, which is obviously a hint, you know, to Velka. Oh, there's a guy here. No. Yeah, no thank you. Is this guy always here? I feel like he should be, you know, around here-ish. Well. So I'm gonna go check. Oh, let's go up first. Yeah. We do have a shield with fire resistance. Let me equip that. Yeah, the Dragon Crest shield. Okay. And in come the Crow Demons. Again, very easy to stun lock these guys if you have a proper weapon, that is. So we do meet these guys, which are very obviously a reference to Velka. Velka being this very mysterious goddess whom we hear a lot about, but we never meet her in person. And there's lots of different theories surrounding her, basically. And yeah, down he goes. They can't fly, apparently, despite having wings, which seems to be a common trend with Dark Souls enemies, funnily enough. Boss weapons... No, wrong game, Cindy. Wrong game. You're thinking Dark Souls 2, you have to come back one title. Ooh, these guys hit quite hard. Away, away, away. Thank you. Another hit. And there we go. And it drops... No. These guys can drop Souvenir of Reprisals, which you can use to level up in the Blades of the Dark Moon Covenant. So we got a miracle here, which is another miracle associated with Velka, actually. So let's have a look at it. Vow of Silence. Secret rite of the black-haired witch, Velka. Prevents casting of magic within effect area. Velka, the goddess of sin, is a rogue deity, but she is versed in arts both new and old, and is considered to have a great range of influence even as gods are concerned. Which is an interesting statement, isn't it? So first, she is called a black-haired witch. We did talk about this a little bit, actually, on the very first episode. How essentially gods aren't actual deities, right, in the Dark Souls universe. They are powerful beings who became strong enough to call themselves deities. And it might be the same with Velka. Rogue deity implies that she does not belong to Gwyn's family. She is not one of the original lords, I believe. She is just a individual who acquired a lot of power and eventually became known as a deity. And we do hear about other gods which may or may not be the same, actually. I believe... What was his name now? Old Man MacLoith, the god of medicine. Or even Allfather Lloyd, maybe. I don't know. Although these guys may actually be recognized by Gwyn and his family, so maybe they are not rogue deities. I don't know. I'm just rambling here. But yeah, Velka. There's this very common theory that, you know, I guess not really believed anymore, because we've had 2 games to more or less discredit this, but back when the only Dark Souls we had was the first one, we had this theory that this entire game is basically Velka sending our characters, sending us to Lorethrough in order to enact punishment on the gods. We kinda know that's not true anymore, because we now know that there's this whole fabricated prophecy of the chosen undead, and the gods themselves created this theory and spread it so that someone would make the journey and eventually become strong enough to rekindle the flame, right? But still, it's interesting to think about, you know, how our perception of these games changes over the time. We've also picked up another item associated with Velka, so let's have a look at it. This is the Pardoner set, I believe. Interesting, yeah, Cindy, there's tons of theories which were quite popular back in the day. I feel old saying this, you know, back in the day, but you get the idea. And they aren't really believed anymore. Things like, no, you know, we used to think that maybe Solaire was the nameless king. He was the firstborn of Gwyn, or Ornstein was also another candidate for being the firstborn. But anyway, so the Mask of Velka. Mask worn by pardoners serving Velka, the goddess of sin. The pardoners listen to the confessions of sinners, urging reflection and salvation. Their masks symbolize separation from worldly desires. Oh, we are hollow. I had kinda forgotten about that. Kind of a shame that we don't have proper cloth physics in Dark Souls 1, because this set would look awesome with cloth physics. Without them, it kind of feels plastic in a way, you know? Feels like it's made of rubber. But proper cloth physics was definitely one of the best additions, I feel, to the franchise. So we have these guys who serve Velka, and they use miracles which are unique to their faith, basically. Which, curiously, as we've learned, you know, way back in the beginning of the series, their miracles are not dependent on faith, which is usually the case for, you know, church-associated miracles. Miracles which come from people who worship Gwyn and his family, or, you know, other gods. Velka's miracles scale with intelligence instead. Or rather, Velka's talisman scales with intelligence, which, again, is a gameplay way of telling that these guys aren't really faithful. They are more about intellect. They are more about knowing the truth, you know? They don't blindly follow the gods as, you know, the church does. Recent theories claim that Velka might be some sort of human deity, which would make sense with the whole dark theme and humans being creatures born of the Dark Soul. So they claim that Velka might be a human deity who was actually married to Gwyn in some sort of alliance, you know, and this does make a lot of sense, actually. A second marriage, perhaps, which would also explain, perhaps, why Gwendolyn is different from his siblings, you know? Maybe he is only a half-brother to the Nameless King and to Guinevere. Born of the second marriage of Lord Gwyn. Food for thought, food for thought. As always, do tell me what you think. Plenty of plague bearers here. Can I shoot this guy? Yeah. No poison. Thank you. And I'm going to just zap this guy. Yeah, take this. Their casting speed is quite fast though. Ember ahead, indeed. And keeping with the whole dark theme that we have with Velka, here we have this. The Dark Ember. What, Cindy? XD, she says. What did you find funny? Alright. I'm gonna read the Dark Ember, and then we're gonna talk about this. So, Dark Ember. Ember required for weapon ascension. The church long hid the forbidden black ember, and no living blacksmith knows of it. Ascends +5 divine weapon to occult weapon. Occult weapons were used to hunt the gods, and are effective against their followers and kin. So there's a lot to unpack here. First, I think the fact that it evolves from a regular divine weapon is quite interesting, because it's basically a corruption of divinity. You grab a divine weapon, which is used by servants of the gods, right? And then you corrupt it. You taint it, basically, and it turns dark, basically, which is awesome. But also, dark as a gameplay element doesn't really exist in Dark Souls 1. We are introduced to hexes in in the DLC, you know, with the Ulasil sorceries. But they just deal magical damage and a bit of physical damage as well. There is no dark element in Dark Souls 1. Only in Dark Souls 2 we actually got dark as a proper element, like fire, magic, and lightning. So it is more or less implied that the hexes of Ulasil, they are basically dark magic, you know. It's kind of a gameplay thing. The gameplay element of dark magic wasn't really created at the time of Dark Souls 1, which is why we only have regular dark sorceries, but one has to wonder if this also applies for the Dark Ember, because what I'm getting from this is not that this is just, you know, the dark infusion, dark damage. This specifically deals higher damage to divinity, you know, to the gods and to the follower of the gods as well. This doesn't really happen in the other games, in Dark Souls 2 and 3. I suppose divine enemies have less resistance to dark damage, but then again, elemental resistance is just elemental resistance, you know. Something made of wood is going to have less resistance to fire, for example. So one has to wonder if this is just a dark ember, basically, you know, the dark infusion, the dark element infusion, or if this is something else. If this is something else, if this is something like a unique infusion specifically made to hunt the gods, then we've never seen it again. It never popped up again in, you know, in any of the other 2 games. Which is, as always, fascinating to think about. We are going to use the Dark Infusion, by the way, because it does scale with Faith, actually. Whether you should use Divine weapons or Dark weapons with a full Faith build is a very old debate in this game. The answer is, it makes no difference. Damage-wise, that is. It makes no difference, really. There seems to be a very minor difference in scaling, but it's like 1 or 2 points of damage in difference. Of course, the secondary effect is different, right? Divine weapons can permanently kill skeletons. And, as we've just said, dark weapons can deal extra damage to divine enemies. So there is that. And a humanity, which is what was hanging from the chain up there. When you dodge the poison, yeah, I kinda got scared there. I thought I was going to get poisoned. I'm going to just ignore these enemies because now we have truly done everything that there is to be done on this level, so let's go fight Priscilla. Will we though? That's the question. Will we fight Priscilla? Roleplay-wise, I feel like our character has no reason to fight Priscilla. We kinda got trapped in here by accident, so... What do you say, chat? Should we fight Priscilla? Should we not? What say you, chat? Get out of here. We have a Baron Knight too. Oh, this one has the Great Sword. I gotta be careful. Yeah. Ah, damn it. Ooh, the damage. That's half my health. Okay. Am I using... I'm not using the Leo ring, actually. Hang on. Professional PvPer, by the way. There. Not sure if those were counter hits, but still. Large Titanite shard, that's good. I've just realized we haven't read the Leo ring as well. That's because as we got the Leo ring in the last stream, OBS crashed, as you may recall. So the Leo ring boosts damage for counterattacks. One of the special rings granted to the 4 Knights of Gwyn, the Leo ring belongs to Ornstein the Dragon Slayer. This ring strengthens counter with pierce weapons. His lugged spear is said to have sliced a boulder in two. Kinda makes sense seeing as dragons are made of stone, so... You should fight her, alright. I think. A bit indecisive, but alright. Then fight her we shall. I suppose we should, right? This is a Let's Play series, so... how is she against magic damage? Should I go lightning? Should I go magic? I don't have lightning, do I? I don't. I'll just use the halberd then. So. Let's try to cut her tail then.
Who art thou? One of us thou art not. If thou hast misstepped into this world, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. If thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not. Thou must returneth whence thou came. This land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, but thou dost not belong. I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home.
Plunge down from the plank, she says.
Thou must returneth whence thou came.
Message. No comments. No comments. Nah, come on. Yeah. Miyazaki, everyone. There you go, chat. Enjoy. Never say I don't do anything for you. There, enough. Alright, so let's try to cut up her tail using a lightning spear. Not quite there. Oh, got it. Okay, that didn't work.
Hurry toward thine death?
That didn't work. I'm actually going to switch to the... where is it? Claymore? Yeah. Since it deals more poise damage. Now, where is she? Ouch. Okay. I see you. Okay. Reposition. Adapt. Okay, there she is. Let's say miss. 2 hits. Where is she? Hit. Damn it. Another hit. Oh, we dodged it. Can I? Yeah, there we go. No, don't go invisible. You? Can she do that? I've never seen Priscilla do that before. Ow.
Why could thou not
Oh, okay.
let us be? Didst thou not see why Ariamis created this world?
Okay, I'm actually glad we died because I've never seen that line of dialogue before. That was actually interesting, you know. So Ariamis is the creator of this world, basically. F, yeah. Kinda hard to fight against invisible enemies. Alright, I am just running, because I don't have time for this. Kinda makes you wonder, who are these painters, you know? There seems to be some sort of naming convention to them, because we have Ariamis and we have Ariandel as well, so... Is this a family, maybe? A family exclusively commissioned by the gods to paint worlds? Lore, everyone. Ow. No arrows. Right, can I run past this guy? I can. Goodbye, my friend. I'm fast as F. Can't catch me. Be wary of tears, yeah. So let's try that again. It is going to be difficult to cut off her tail though, so... Let me lock in for a moment. Okay, there she is. One hit. Ow. Dodge the second hit. There we go. Nice. Okay. We can do this. Miss. We got it. Okay. Nice. No, no, no. Ooh, that's ice, actually. Ice magic, everyone. Something we won't really see until Dark Souls 3, actually. I suppose we do have the DLC in Dark Souls 2, which is all about ice. Okay, she gets infinite poise after becoming visible, apparently. There we go. I'm sorry. Chat made me do it. Soul of Priscilla and Twin Humanities. Nice. Kinda easy moveset once you realize that she basically has just 2 melee attacks. And they are very easy to dodge, even if you can see her, because you can just, you know, dodge based on sound, basically. So yeah. Another example of Dark Souls being difficult, except not really, you just have to pay attention, you know. So we did get a dagger from cutting off her tail. Where is it? What am I doing? GG, thanks Cindy. No, you say, but you made me do it. You told me to kill her. What do you mean, no? So, Priscilla's dagger. This sword, one of the rare dragon weapons, came from the tale of Priscilla, the dragon crossbreed in the painted world of Ariamis. Possessing the power of Life Hunt, it dances about when wielded, in a fashion reminiscent, of the white-robed painting guardians. So, reminiscent. So basically the painted guardians came first, and then this dagger came along? Is that it? Or is it the other way around? But yeah, a similar moveset is what I'm trying to say. Does it scale, if anything? I think this is the only dragon weapon which actually scales, right, with anything, because it has an A scaling in dexterity. I've never used it, actually. Have you used it, chat? Is it a good dagger? It has bleed as well. Yeah, fast weapon with bleed on it. Gotta be scary, right? And it does have the dark modifier as well, so it also deals extra damage against gods. Quite an interesting weapon. Very interesting, actually. Makes me want to make a dexterity build, you know, just to try it. Not for this build, unfortunately. We may use some other dragon weapon as a means to just deal pure physical damage with a weapon which doesn't really scale with anything, which is useful and necessary for our build because we are a pure faith build. We kinda don't have access to decent pure physical damage. Not through normal means anyway. Let's read her soul as well. What does that say? Never, says Cindy. Yeah. I don't play pure dexterity builds all that often either, so. Here we go. Soul of Priscilla. Soul of Priscilla the Crossbreed, trapped inside the painted world of Ariamis. Use the soul of this crossbreed bastard child. So, bastard child. An antithesis to all life to acquire a huge amount of souls or to create a unique weapon. So, emphasis on bastard child. As in, a child which was born outside of marriage. Which used to be a very big deal for royalty, right? For nobility. So, this has to be the child of a deity and a dragon. And as I've mentioned earlier, not necessarily Sif's and Guinevere's daughter. Might also be the Nameless King and some dragon's daughter. Saint ahead, right, we have the Zento set here. Which will only appear here if you defeat his, you know, invasion back then. So let's get out of here. Plunge down from the plank, as she said. Slight spoiler, but I might use the... what's it called? Obsidian Greatsword on this build. Which is a very accessible dragon weapon, deals pure physical damage and can be buffed as well, so... Very nice of the game to give us a homeward bone, actually. I am going to use it immediately. So where is it? Here. And here we are. Fix our stuff, level up. We are placing points into endurance, I believe. I need 40 endurance in order to equip my endgame fashion, basically. I have a particular armor combo in mind for this character. If you've seen my videos, you may have seen this armor combo before. We also haven't spoken to this Firekeeper here after defeating ONS, so let's do that.
Oh, you are one of us. That is a surprise. But a pleasant one. We are both blades of the Dark Moon now. I shall look forward to fighting alongside you.
Alright, so that's actually dialogue you get from joining the Blades of the Dark Moon.
So you have received a revelation.
I have.
Very auspicious. I hope for the best. I pray that through you, her wish will be granted.
Her wish. So maybe she doesn't know that Guinevere isn't real.
Have you heard of Seath the Scaleless? In legend, he turned against the ancient dragons. He became Lord Gwyn's confidant, was granted dukedom, and was allowed to pursue his research. At the Regal Archives, he immersed himself in research on scales of immortality. The one thing that he did not have, but his very research drove him mad. The Archives became a dungeon, a place for sinister experiments. Now, Nobody dares even approach the Duke's forbidden archives. It looms over this land high atop the mountain. But I should warn against even an approach.
Alright, a bit of lore on Sith.
If you require rest, now is the time. That is, after all, what the bonfire is for.
I see. Well, we are not going to fight Sith just yet. Our first Lord Soul is actually going to be Nithos, which means we are going to the Tomb of Giants. But first we've got to go to the Firelink Shrine and actually place the Lord Vessel, which we haven't already. Bonfire is still out.
There you are. There's nothing worthwhile up above. No worries. Venturing is...
And we've seen this dialogue in the last stream. So the bonfire is still out because I haven't actually given the Firekeeper her soul back. So let's do that. And we did it.
Thank you. I am Anastasia of Astora. Now I can continue my duty as a keeper. But I only hope that my impure tongue does not offend.
Yet another character from Astora.
Forgive me. I am impure. My tongue never intended for restoration. Please, if you have any heart, leave me be. I wish not to speak.
Kinda shows how brutal the faith, you know, was before the Curse of the Undead came along. Not only was her tongue removed, basically, so that she wouldn't say any profanities, I guess is the word I'm looking for, but she kinda wants to remain silent. You know, there's a level of brainwashing going on here, which is, you know, terrible. But yeah. Now that's done. Onion guy, yeah. Do you like the onion guy, Cindy?
There you are. I'll be heading down below shortly. There's nothing worthwhile up above. No worries. Venturing is my life. I'm prepared for the worst.
The Onion Man himself. Kind of a shame how hard to get his armor is in Dark Souls 2, right? I've always wanted to play a Katarina Knight in Dark Souls 2 for some reason, but I cannot be bothered to go through all DLCs and acquire the set piece by piece. That's... yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you. So let's speak with Brent.
Heavens, you have done it. You have retrieved the Lord Vessel.
I have.
After 1,000 years, it is you. It is really you. Forgive me. I really should calm down. Now, let us take that vessel on a journey. I assume that you are ready. Now, be still.
And he's going to gently freaking eat us. I've noticed how he says after 1,000 years, so it kinda puts into perspective how long the prophecy of the chosen undead has been going around. Which means the kingdom kinda fell, was kinda destroyed 1,000 years ago.
This is the Firelink Chamber for the successor of Lord Gwyn. Now, place the Lord Vessel on the altar.
And it's been 1,000 years since someone was finally able to acquire the Lord Vessel. Not even finish the journey, because we haven't really finished it yet. We are only halfway there, but just being halfway there, we are still, you know, we have still come much further than anyone else. But it also puts into perspective how much time has passed since the Curse of the Undead came along and since the fire started to fade, basically.
What is it? Place the Lord Vessel on the altar.
I will.
No reason for pause at this point.
I'm just looking at this ramp, this right here. Let me equip the binoculars real quick. So, this is, in my opinion, one of the biggest mysteries, so to say, of this franchise. What are those, chat? And if you look further in the back, that thing at the center of the room, way in the back, kinda looks like another Lord Vessel. So what is going on here? Why is there a second Lord Vessel over there? And what are those braziers, you know, in front of it? What is a Lord Vessel anyway? Right. Something that is big enough to contain, you know, this such a large amount of souls. We do get a broken Lord Vessel in Dark Souls 2, which raises even more questions, right? But anyway. Our character pulls this giant pot out of their pockets, of course. And now all the areas which were blocked are unblocked. So again, look. This is, you know, the Lord Vessel. And that thing way in the back looks exactly the same. Maybe it's a bit hard to see because it's dark back there, but they look exactly the same.
Very well. As Kingseeker, I shall now instruct you, the Lord's successor, in your next task.
I stream on one monitor, Uchiha.
Fill the vessel with powerful souls.
Though I might acquire a second soon.
To the great soul of Gwyn. Scarce few possess such brilliant souls. Grave Lord Nito, the Witch of Izalith, the 4 kings of New Londo, who inherited the shards of Gwyn's soul, and Lord Gwyn's former confidant, Seath the Scaleless. All of their souls are required to satiate the Lord Vessel. Are you ready? Then we shall return. Stay still for a moment.
And back we go. So he just dropped a lot of interesting information here. We have Nito and the Witch of Izalith, which still possess, you know, the souls they found within the First Flame. But then we also have people who received shards of Gwyn's soul. I am using OBS, actually, Uchiha. And the chat overlay is nothing really impressive. It's very simple. I tend to go for a simple yet efficient approach. OBS does give you the option to use a browser source for your streams. And you can copy the URL of your YouTube chat and add that as the source for your browser source. And then there's this thing called, it's a website that can change the, you know, the appearance of your chat. I think it's called Chat Generator V2 or something like this, which is what I use to have the, you know, unique font and font color, that kind of stuff. Very simple. But I do have to change the URL every time I stream because YouTube's chat URL is not constant. It changes every time I stream. But yeah, there you go. Hello. Hello, user. Can't quite pronounce all those letters, man, sorry. But hello, welcome. So, we are now on the second half of our journey, which is to acquire all the souls necessary to satiate the Lord Vessel. I do find it interesting, though, that we do get mentions from other characters that there were others besides Sif and besides the Four Kings who inherited shards of Gwyn's soul. But we don't really need those, right? I believe the Four Knights are an example. Ornstein himself, he has the power of lightning because he also received a shard of Gwyn's soul. Possibly others too. And of course, once you know what exactly is the prophecy of the chosen undead, right? Once you realize that this is basically the gods using you to acquire all of these souls for them, then it makes sense that they don't even mention Ornstein because they already have his soul. You defeated Ornstein, you know, at Anor Londo, and we can only assume that the shard of Gwyn's soul which he possessed was immediately taken by Windolin, possibly. Nice armor and nice weapon, thank you, man. This is a knight character, which is what I tend to play when I play Dark Souls, or most RPGs for that matter. I'm more of a European knight enjoyer, as you can see. We are, however, about to begin the process of acquiring my endgame fashion souls, which will keep in theme with this whole, you know, knight fashion, but it is going to be a bit more fantasy-esque, a bit more paladin style. So where do we go, actually? I think we have to go down to the catacombs. Yeah, that's it. Can I level up? I cannot. Are you also a knight enjoyer, chat? Or what sort of team, what sort of character do you like to play? For those who did watch the episode where we went down to the Tomb of Giants to rescue Rhea, do remember that we didn't sit at the bonfire when we did that, so that I could immediately teleport back to the surface, you know. So I do actually have to manually travel there. Speaking of Rhea, do I have all of her miracles? I have Magic Barrier, I have Wrath of the Gods, Great Heal. I think that's all. Yeah, I think we're good. This does mean, of course, that all of the necromancers on the way are dead, so we won't have to worry about any resurrecting skeletons on the way there. I do have the Leo ring equipped. Let's not do that because not really using a trust weapon. Oh, maybe I should use a trust weapon then. Let's try the halberd against the skeletons. I love this weapon, the Morning Star. It is quite awesome. Just a little bit less damage than the regular mace, but it deals some nice poise damage and... no, not poise damage, sorry, bleed. Deals some nice bleed. I tried to put in the browser, but when it comes to overlay in-game, I have to set a separate scene to get it always on top. Is it right? I've never multi-streamed before, so maybe there is something that I don't know there. But when it comes to sorting out what is on top, I think just adjusting the order of your sources should do the trick. You know, make sure that the chat source is above everything else. On the source list, that is. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Okay, we are one-shotting these guys, that's nice. No reason not to sit here, I suppose. Save ourselves a bit of time if we do have an accident on the way there. Yeah, that's nice damage. We have the halberd, we have the Morning Star, we have the claymore as well. All of my favorite weapons, you know, in one character. Oh, nice. I got the timing just right. Reminds me that I got invaded by a ghost last time I was here. I actually did this level back in October. And... expectedly, I got invaded by a spooky invader. A guy cosplaying a ghost. I could be running past these guys, couldn't I? I really don't have to fight all of them again. Yeah, let's do that. Ouch. Then again, this is Dark Souls. Playing it safe is usually a good idea. This off. Reading chat real quick. I can get it on top of the screen to show it to viewers. But for the reading, it's kind of tricky. Yeah, just the raw YouTube chat is kind of tricky. It looks kind of ugly, honestly, because it's just the regular YouTube chat window slapped on top of OBS. It doesn't look pretty. That's why I'm using this website which I talked about, which allows you to customize the chat screen. Look up something like chat style V2 on Google and you should find it. It gives you a CSS code which you can copy and paste onto the browser scene to customize it. Very practical, very useful. Do we have enough for another level? No, we don't. Although I might have enough inventory souls for that, so let's try that out. We are going to meet another knight on the way down there, aren't we? Don't mention it, man. Don't mention it. Glad to be of help. Are you trying to stream as well then, Uchiha? Do we have another upcoming streamer here? Should be enough for another level. So, 21 in endurance. I need to get 40. It's going to be quite a while until I can get it. I am most likely going to do a bit of farming off-screen. As you do. A bit of off-camera mining. Okay. Saves me the trouble, I guess. Saves me the trouble. I would also like to mention that I absolutely hate the Tomb of Giants, so... if I take it slowly there, you know, that's why. We do have Cast Light, don't we? Yeah, we do. I bought it way back in one of the first episodes of the series. Parkour. We are definitely going to use it. I am not wasting a weapon slot by equipping the lantern. Kinda wish more games used darkness as a gameplay mechanic, honestly. Dark Souls 1 kinda has it on one level only, that being the Tomb of Giants and... oh, skeleton. Skeleton. But yeah, Dark Souls 1 uses darkness on just the Tomb of Giants. Another skeleton, come on, man. And Dark Souls 2 was supposed to use it, but didn't really. Like, the torch is there, it's kinda nice to have it on a few levels, but you don't really need it. It's quite, you know, visible. Even without the torch. Which is a shame, because those little gameplay bits we got, you know, from when the game was still in development, looked very interesting. The lightning was quite different. Oh yeah, this happens sometimes. This guy just clips through the floor and falls into the void. Convenient. Let's see if it happens again. No, not this time. Let's try to lure these guys one by one, if possible. Do we have another? It just occurred to me, have we spoken to Vamos? I don't think we have. Have I unlocked his bonfire? Of course I haven't, because if I had, I could have just teleported here, right? Oh. What? Am I stupid, chat? Am I dumb? Well, okay. Could I have just teleported here instead? I think I could. Interesting. Completely forgot about this bonfire, the famous $50 bonfire. This is my prepare to die mindset, by the way. I'm so used to playing the OG Dark Souls that I kinda forgot that we have access to this in the remaster. So I'm going to equip the... where is it? Cast Light magic right now. And let's check his dialogue.
Why, you have an ember, do you?
I do.
Forget about it. I don't deal with that kind. What has gone wrong with embers these days?
Right, this is the dark ember he's talking about. We forgot to give it to Andre, didn't we? We'll do it on our way back, I suppose. Do I have enough bolts? I have 49, so let's buy a few more. Let's press the button real quick. There we go. There we go. Let's make it 100 bolts. And that should do it, I think.
I've told you I have nothing to discuss. If I have anything to offer, it's my smithing and nothing more. I'd be of more help with that ember from New Londo, of course. It's a shame the whole place was flooded.
So again, hinting at another ember we can acquire.
I've told you I have nothing to discuss. If I have anything to offer, it's my smithing and nothing more. Speaking honestly, I must say that I'm at my very limit. There's no more work to be done. Unless I have the flame of that legendary witch. But that will require a visit to Lost Izalith. Impossible.
Yeah, that's the Chaos Ember he's talking about. He also mentions the Ember from New Londo, which is something I didn't know for quite a while. You can actually give him the very large Ember. Not sure why you would do that, because it's a lot more practical to have Andre use that Ember, but if you want to, you know, change things up.
Well, what was that about? Don't be coming around here without a good reason.
I bought 100 bolts from you, man. What are you talking about? But yeah, if you want to change things up, you can give Vamos the very large Ember. Let's equip this real quick, and I'm gonna run past all of these skeletons here. I am aware that they've respawned. That's alright. Oh, dodge, dodge. Insert Tokyo Drift music. I can't play it because of copyright reasons, but play it on your minds, chat. Okay. We've made it. I don't think they can follow us here, so we should be okay. Fire and Chaos. Yeah, but you can actually give him the very large Ember too, you know, besides the Chaos Ember. So he can upgrade regular weapons to, you know, plus 11, 12, and so on and so forth. Let there be light, chat. Let there be light. No lantern required. Big scary skeleton. Ooh, the damage. And we also staggered him, didn't we? Maybe I think I accidentally headshot him. Very large Ember to Andre. Yeah, 2 blacksmiths can receive the very large Ember. Andre and Vamos. I was quite surprised when I learned about it too. We are going to plunge this guy. We have just plunged this guy. Is there somebody else here? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah, this level is so much easier with proper light, you know? So I think there is a bit of an ambush if we slide down this one. There's like one giant skeleton on each side. So I am going to plunge this guy. Nope. No kicking. Stun lock. Stun lock. And there we go. Just like that, chat. I died there once because of those shiny things on the ground. Yeah. I think those are... what are they called? Prism stones. Possibly left by Rhea on her way down here. Or who knows, maybe by patches even, because... Let's get that item. Can I get it? Yeah. Damn it. Ah, come on. I almost got it. But possibly by patches, because he does place a prism stone here. And there's a few more down there as well, like, you know, luring people over to the edge. So those might have been placed by patches too. Who knows? Okay, now we can actually sit at this bonfire here. Or by this bonfire, I should say. I'm not actually sitting on top of the fire. That's, you know, a bit uncalled for. Don't do that, chat. Don't sit at a fire, please. Sit by a fire. That's new information for me. Yeah, man, like I said, I was quite surprised when I learned about it too. And kind of a weird thing too, because, again, it's a lot more practical to give it to Andre. Imagine upgrading your weapon to plus 10 with Andre, and then having to travel to the catacombs to go plus 11 and onwards. It's a bit, you know, bit of a back and forth. Kind of unnecessary, really. So since we are here, I suppose we could try and get the large divine ember, couldn't we? So let's do that. What? Ah, right, I hit this by accident, didn't I? What do we get down here, by the way? Okay, I'm trying to think, because this is the way back from the area where you find Rhea. Why was this still locked? If I came here before, right? I came down here before, is what I'm trying to say. Ah, it's because I teleported out, that's why. Once I saved Rhea, I immediately homeward bound out of there. Yeah, that was it. So let me use the halberd on these guys for the added reach. And yeah, that should do it. These guys drop large white titanite, or sorry, titanite chunks is what I'm trying to say. Ooh, don't do that. So we are definitely going to farm these guys at some point, off screen of course. I'm not gonna do it on stream. That would be annoying. Yeah, it's a pain if you don't have a Lord Vessel at the moment. I forgot where to get the large ember, by the way. The large ember you get in the depths, right next to the first undead butcher, you know. Those big hollows with a sack on their heads, who have a large butcher knife. Next to the first one, there is a chest with the large ember. The very large ember you find in New Londo. So, free white titanite chunk over there. And I'm just gonna, you know, explode these guys. Yeah. That's how I like it. Lightning spear. Although I should save resources for the skeleton fight. There's a bunch of giant skeletons right around the large white ember. Sorry. White titanite chunk is what I'm trying to say, not large white ember. What am I talking about? Titanite chunks. 800 hours of Dark Souls, everyone. 800 hours of Dark Souls. This is what it looks like. Yeah, a very large ember. Can get it before the Lord Vessel. Yeah, you can. You can actually go to New Londo soon, right? Rather early in your playthrough. And if you snipe the sailor, what's his name? Ingward, I believe that's his name. If you snipe him out and get the key, you can drain the water. And you basically gain access to the Four Kings quite early. So let me get rid of these skeletons up there. For skeletons, we are going Claymore again because it's an easy poise break on them. Ouch. Yeah, that's a retreat, I think. Ouch. Okay, yeah, no. No, 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 no. That's gonna be a hard no from me. Thank you. Sip. Nope. Ouch. Ah, damn it. There. There's a second archer. That's so annoying. Yeah. Very close, but we've managed to survive, thankfully. So this here is the way back to the surface, actually. There are some items to be had. Ouch. I forget that the kick has quite a lot of reach, you know. It's deceptively large, the hitbox on that kick. Don't have to be divine weapons on these giant skeletons. Yeah, I know, but divine weapons is all I have. It's my sole source of damage. Ouch. If I go with a non-divine weapon, I'll be dealing no damage, basically. Because this character has very little strength index. It's a pure faith build. Yeah, this is gonna be tricky. Good damage. Damn it. Are there 2 or 3? That's the question. I think only 2, yeah. Stunlock. Stunlock. And that is why we love the Claymore. Because it stunlocks Mother Effers quite easily. Back up. And there is an item somewhere around here. Yeah, there we go. Eye of Death. Nice. But it seems you... kinda hard to read chat in the moment. Your primary weapon... Yeah, my primary weapons are divine weapons, like I said. I will get some occult weapons as well. Mainly just to fight Gwyn with it. Deal some extra damage to him. I've mentioned this earlier, but if I had remembered to use... Sorry, to explore the painting before ONS, I could have used a divine weapon, sorry, an occult weapon against them, but I forgot to do that, so yeah. It is what it is. It is what it is. C'est la vie, as the French would say. Cat in a box from Cindy. Are you comfy in there, Cindy? So let's go down. I would prefer to face this next encounter with full resources, but for the sake of entertainment, let's try to do it right now with what we have. Is there anything here? Nope, there is nothing here. So here we have the area with the large divine ember. And we also have a ton of giant skeletons, as you can see. Usually they don't all aggro on me like this. Probably because I have this light floating above my head. Yeah, that would explain it. So. Oh, bad. Bad. Goodbye, chat. It's been nice knowing you. Yeah. Yeah. Not much I could do there. I was trying to jump across the gap, but yeah. I kinda accepted the risk the moment I did that, so... I guess I do get to try this fight with full resources now. Yay! F again. Yeah, this is Dark Souls, isn't it? So... Light. Let there be light. Your build seems lore-friendly, not to wreck the game. Yeah, full faith build is really not that strong, seeing as split damage tends to be a little bit weaker in Dark Souls 1 than it is on the other games, with the way scaling works. Although, honestly, it's a very tiny difference. Okay, I'm gonna try something stupid. Plunge. And then this. Ouch, 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 ouch. Okay. Stun. Stun. Dodge. Dodge again. Chug. Dodge. Okay, that was most of them, wasn't it? Stop blocking. Damn coward. That was clean. That was clean, I liked it. Run. Run, says Cindy. No such thing. I shall do no such thing. Plunge attack followed by Wrath of the Gods. The OG Paladin combo. Stop right there, man. Stop jumping around. Strong attack. There we go. Just like that, chat. Just like that. Blacksmith ahead, yeah. Again, it's interesting how all of the embers are found on petrified blacksmiths. And petrification is basically curse, right? It's what happens when someone is cursed. So, makes me wonder if someone went around petrifying blacksmiths, you know, purposefully cursing blacksmiths, possibly to hide their secrets. Also, just a reminder that technically, lore-wise, petrified people are alive, I think. You can unpetrify them, I think. So, yeah, these guys are kinda alive, I think. He's still alive in there, he's just, you know, petrified, and he has probably been petrified for like 1,000 years or so. Yeah. Prepare to Cry edition. Dark Souls Prepare to Cry. So, large divine ember, let's check that out. Ember required for weapon ascension, large divine ember of secret church rites, intended for select divine blacksmiths. Ascends +5 divine weapon, allows reinforcement to +10, on par with the very weapons of the gods. Doesn't look like a cursed one from the depths. Yeah, the statues in the depths are a bit more jagged, right? Maybe they are different. Maybe it's a similar thing, but not quite the same, you know? Because the curse we get in the depths is caused by basilisks. Maybe this is, you know, some sort of curse magic. Something which can be targeted at someone, you know? So that's why it looks different. Still, it's a strange coincidence that all the embers are found on petrified blacksmiths. There's some lore in there, that's for sure. So we have a very... Sorry, not very large. A very large divine ember allows ascension to +20. No, large divine ember. which lore-wise should make our weapons on par with, you know, something like the Dragon Slayer Spear, or maybe the Great Lord Greatsword, you know. The weapons of the lords themselves.
Oh, you! Well, let's just calm down. Talk about things. I did you wrong, but I didn't mean it. These temptations, they can, well, overcome me. You know what I mean, don't you? Please, forgive me. You and me, we're jolly undead outcasts, aren't we?
So I talked to Patches, once again completely forgetting the fact that last time I was here I homeward back to the catacombs. So I never finished his encounter. So that's why he's saying that. So imagine this guy just sitting here and who knows how much time passed in-game, like weeks, maybe a month, you know? And now I'm back and I'm like approaching him like he owes me money. No, we do not forgive you, you bastard.
Oh, for heaven's sake, let's not mope about, eh? You're still alive? I've said I'm sorry. Wait, I know. Here, take this. It proves something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kinda does. Twin humanities. And let's try to remember the fact that down there were two clerics, hollowed clerics, which were fooled by Patches, so more or less implies that these twin humanities belonged to Vince and Nyoko. Kill him, I can, Cindy. He's gonna turn into a merchant later, and he does sell a weapon which I want, so... He does drop that weapon too once I kill him, so we could technically do it, but... I kinda wanna explore his dialogue. He does have dialogue on other characters, which is interesting. And this is a lore series, so... Why he laughing like that? Is he going to do something bad? He has already done something bad. He kicked me down into the depths, basically, into that hole down there. The first time I was here. Can I reinforce anything? Not really, no. Level up? Not quite. Alright, so choices, choices, choices. I can teleport to this bonfire, right? I believe I can. I just think he's going to attack you after that. He isn't. He isn't going to. By this point, he's probably afraid of our character, I think, because he did try to kill us once and we survived. He's too smart and too much of a coward to try anything else, I think. He's like, better not piss this guy off, you know, any more than I already have. So let's go to the Undead Parish real quick and give these 2 embers we have to Andre.
What a brilliant ember you have there. I've only heard legends of such specimens. The embers used for the secret rites of divine blacksmiths. Perhaps you could lend it to me. I've long dreamed of forging divine weapons.
That's true, Shiha. If you tell him in your first encounter that you are a cleric, he will attack you. Technically, though, we are not a cleric, we are a knight, so that's why I said no to that question. So let's give Andre the large divine ember.
Splendid, splendid. Thank you. Andre Yevastora never disappoints, I assure you.
So there is that. How many large... Again with the large white titanite chunks. How many of those do I have? I think just one, right? Yeah, and I need more green shards anyway. Some farming would be interesting right about now, but kinda don't want to do it on stream.
Oh yeah, it is.
No new dialogue.
I'll be seeing it, Beak.
And let's give him the Dark Ember as well.
Show me that ember of yours. Well, I've never heard of a black ember. How about leaving that ember with me? I find it strangely fascinating.
Yeah, it might be just a dark element ember after all, because the way Andre feels attracted to it is, to me, reminiscent of how other characters feel lured by dark, right? Which is again a hint that humanity's true nature is dark, which is why dark is so alluring to humans. Notice, however, how in Dark Souls 3, Andre's perspective changes. Once you bring him the... I think it's the Profane Coal, right? Which is what allows Chaos infusions and Dark infusions as well. He is basically... Whoa, that's a dangerous coal you have there, right? His perspective is different. Which would make sense, seeing as how much time has passed between Dark Souls 1 and 3, and this guy is still around, so... He is taking full advantage of that undead immortality, basically, to survive for hundreds of years. One would expect that he would gain some wisdom during that time, so it makes sense. So, yes, of course.
Yes. Well, thank you. This ember really is something special. I'm already under its spell. I sense great potential indeed.
Yeah, so it might just be a Dark Infusion Ember. Maybe I was reading too much into it later on. Sorry, earlier.
I'll be seeing you then.
Can't really do any upgrades right now, so... Unfortunately, ain't gonna happen. So, tell you what, chat. I'm going to take a short break. And I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Let's change the screen real quick. Thank you for those of you who have been watching so far. Cindy, our mod, is going to take a break as well, and I will be right back, chat. See you in a few minutes. Alright everyone, we are back. Hope you didn't go hollow during the wait. Let's switch back. And let me take a moment to read through chat. When I see those petrified blacksmiths, I just think they're Andre past lives, but things seems confused. And from the petrified blacksmith posture, it doesn't look like they're being killed, more like they are prepared to meet their ends. It's an interesting take actually, man. If this is the same Andre, funnily enough, it would explain why Andre is still present in Dark Souls 3, maybe. Andre is this strange entity who just reincarnates, for lack of a better word, or is reborn, you know, once he dies. So the old Andre turns to stone and a new Andre appears. Kinda like a phoenix. Interesting to think about. And you're right, I think their posture kinda gives the impression that, you know, their job is done, they are prepared to meet their end, you know? It does make sense. Andre is quite an interesting character, actually. He was meant to play a much bigger role in the story. Way back in the early days of development of Dark Souls 1, Andre was actually meant to be Gwyn's firstborn. He was meant to be the lost son of Gwyn, you know? Which would actually explain why he has the white hair. Even though he is not the firstborn anymore, the story has been changed to, you know, changed, and basically he was reduced to a mere blacksmith, but he still retains his original design with the long white hair and beard, which makes him look very similar to Gwyn. So it kind of fits, you know, that he was meant to be Gwyn's firstborn. And he was actually meant to open the way to the Firelink altar as well. That wasn't Fremd, that was Andre initially. Did you guys know that? It's common knowledge by now, but I am way more of a nerd than I usually think I am, so what I see as common knowledge tends not to be common knowledge sometimes. But there is concept art of Andre opening a secret door in Firelink Shrine, which would take us to the Firelink altar. And I think that door is still there, actually. It's the statue in the back of Firelink Shrine, in the area with a shallow pool, you know, where Fremd appears. That statue was meant to move, and if I recall correctly, there is code in the game. Unused code, of course, you know, code which has been deactivated, basically, but which was used to make that door move. If you data mine the game, if you hack the game, you can actually open the door. It takes you nowhere, of course, because the level is, you know, different from the original idea, but it's still there. Fragments of the first iteration of the story, you know? Quite interesting. So Patches is still here.
I did you wrong, but I didn't mean it. These temptations, they can overcome me. You know what I mean, don't you? Please, forgive me.
Yeah, sure. Alright, so I would like to call your attention once again to this game's environmental storytelling. Or maybe game design or level design is the better word here. It's dark. I can't see anything. No. Do you see that? Look at how this guy just appears in front of us from the darkness. As a new player, tell me this wouldn't make you shit your pants. Yeah. Alright, so let's deal with this guy. I kinda hate these enemies, honestly. Yeah. These guys have what I like to call Dark Souls 2 hitboxes. In the sense that the hitbox of their attacks becomes active deceptively early. Before the actual animation connects to you, the hitbox is already active, so even if you attack early, you still get hit. It's very easy to just trade hits with these guys. Kinda hard not to, actually. Thankfully, there's not a lot of them, so... Okay, can I not deal with you right now and kill the archer instead? I think I can. Oh, Black Knight. Black Knight. Retreat. Tactical retreat. Tactical Estus. Ow. Yeah, can you not? Thank you. Come on, man. Alright, owl or nothing. Is the archer? Yeah, it is. How can the archer shoot from this far away, though? Come on. This is bad. Nope. Chug. Okay. Okay, that's a free backstab. Ouch. Ouch. Damn archer. Okay, I cannot fight with this archer shooting me in the back. Chug. Backstab. Strong attack. And there we go. Damn it. Completely forgot about that Black Knight. Another Estus. Man, I am burning through my Estus here. Yeah, they're in the concepts, but cut from it. I think it's more about the cover things that they haven't finished yet. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff which was changed along development, right? Let me try to deal with this damn archer. Beating to a poke required a head. In the language of Dark Souls. Soul of a brave warrior. Try down. No, I don't think I will. Try jumping. Is this for real? Surely not, right? Down ahead. Yeah, no, that's BS. That is BS. What about you, sir? Are we gonna have a problem? Oh yes, we are. Damn it. I can't not take damage against these guys. I mean, we try to give everything in this game a meaning, but what if they aren't even that deep? You know, I tell myself that a lot of times, but things just keep making sense. You know? Sometimes there is no meaning to it, but sometimes there is, you know? And there's so many things which connect so well nicely. Did I just stagger this thing? I don't think I've ever staggered these things in the past. Interesting. So the claymore continues to be awesome then, is what I'm getting from that. But yeah, I'm sure nothing has, you know, sorry, not everything has meaning to it. Some things are there just because it's cool, you know. But at the same time, they just connect so well together. Which is kinda not true. There is even a name for this phenomena, right? If you look for meaning into things, you will always find it. There is always some sort of connection we can make. That's kind of how the brain works, right? The human brain, that is. It's kind of how our mind works. You will always find something there if you look hard enough for it, if you want to find something, that is. But it just makes so much sense. Says the guy who is talking about lore theories while writing on a whiteboard like a madman, you know? That's me, basically. Where is the area with the silver serpent ring? Is it there? I think it's there. But that style of storytelling by hints, they get us even more confused by getting trapped by our own thoughts, so it's easy to cover up some plot holes. Yeah, it's the good old unreliable narrator trope, which I really like. It's one of my favorite narration styles, actually. Possibly the favorite. It's efficient, right? It sets up for a very mysterious story. And it's so much less work on the writer's part, because the reader, you know, the audience, actually does a lot of the work for you. I hate that attack. Yeah, see? Look at how early I attacked and we still traded hits. These guys, you know, they were ahead of their time. They had Dark Souls 2 hitboxes before Dark Souls 2 was a thing. Dark Souls 2 hitboxes aren't that bad, just level adaptability. Yeah, sure, yeah. Look at this clip of the one moment in Dark Souls 2 where the hitboxes actually work. It proves that the hitboxes are good. Yeah, sure. That's how that works. That's how that works. You get one example of the thing doing the thing which it was supposed to do, and it means it works. It means it's actually good. So if I recall, there is a trap in here. Yep, there it is. Ouch. Can I... yeah. Let's be practical, shall we? Practicality. I hate DS2 not only for the hitboxes. I actually like the game, honestly. It grew on me, you know. I hated it the first time I played. Mostly because I was trying to play it like Dark Souls 1. And I think that's what makes Dark Souls 2 so unpopular. And that's also why people who love Dark Souls 2 are usually the ones who played Dark Souls 2 first. It's a good game, but if you go into it expecting to play Dark Souls 1, the sequel, it's frustrating. It's unexplainably frustrating. It just feels different. Your character moves different. The attacks are ever so slightly different, and this thing where they look similar enough to the point where you want to play them in the same way, but they are not quite similar, they are just a little bit different. That kinda drives people insane, I think. It drove me insane the first time I played it, you know? But it's a nice game, it's an awesome game, actually. I actually have more hours into Dark Souls 2 than I do Dark Souls 1, which is saying something. But I'm also not going to sit here and go, it's a perfect game and people don't get it. Nah, man, it's flawed. It's terribly, terribly flawed, you know? It has some very noticeable problems, and I'm not going to try and excuse those problems away, you know? Which is what kind of pisses me off sometimes about Dark Souls 2 fans. Like, you can enjoy the game, just don't try to defend it in areas where it does not deserve to be defended, you know? Another white titanite chunk. Ah, we do have to turn human. I've just remembered. We have to try to become human. Excuse me, chat. There is an important invasion up ahead. What? Ah, the enemy must have approached, I think. So it deactivated the bonfire. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it's like Dark Souls 1. It's not a perfect game. It's a goddamn masterpiece, in my humble opinion, but it's not a perfect masterpiece. It has flaws, and some pretty jarring flaws as well. I don't excuse those away. I love the game despite its flaws, you know? But with Dark Souls 2, it feels like it's either you completely hate the game to the point where people are not even willing to give it a chance, which is unfair in my opinion. Or we have the other extreme, which is people saying that the game is perfect and it's awesome and it's the best Dark Souls ever. And it's actually great, and if you don't like it, it's because you're bad at it. You just have to put points into adaptability and that's gonna solve all your problems. Like, nah, I mean, come on, let's be real, you know? Let's be honest here. The hitboxes are janky. The Mimic has no business teleporting me into its grab, you know? From behind, actually, when the grab animation is very clearly a frontal attack. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk on Dark Souls 2. Same time next week. Where did you come from? That is the question I am asking myself right now. Go away. Damn you. Alright. So we also have that. Okay, that works. I don't think there is anything there. Yeah, there isn't. There is no reason for me to fight that guy. So I'm not going to. We did just pick up some items. I am going to read them in a moment. Another soul of a brave warrior. I beat the game a few times, but I can't even like it. Like, I'm still confusing with the builds. There is many cool weapons, but I just can use just a few of them. Yeah, Dark Souls 2 definitely suffers from having too many options. Especially with the way the game is structured. There is no clear path right at the start of the game, unlike Dark Souls 1. Which is one of the things I kinda dislike. The early game in Dark Souls 1 is so well crafted. It's like it's a master class on how to craft the first levels on a game, you know. Dark Souls 2, not so much, unfortunately. It's not bad, it's just not Dark Souls 1. And I think that phrase kinda summarizes Dark Souls 2, honestly. It's not bad, it's just not Dark Souls 1. Halbert's time. And Leo Ring. Paladin Leroy has invaded. Leroy. Why do you invade us, Leroy? You were the chosen one. You were supposed to fight the Dark Wraiths, not to join them. You just heal in front of me, come on. Shame on you. We are going to bow though. And for that we get a humanity, of course, and more humanity, and also Grant and Sanctus. So if you do recall, at the very beginning of this series, I do like to do a very light level of role-playing in the idea that I like to think of a backstory for my characters. This character was a knight of the Way of White, and he was a bit of a Leroy fanboy, you know. So he was at first extremely happy to have fought Pinwheel alongside Leroy. And I like to imagine our character is now, you know, confused and also devastated at being forced to fight his his hero, basically, his idol. Which sounds like awesome storytelling in my head. Probably not as interesting for you, but still, there you have it. Role-playing, everyone. Role-playing. So, I wasn't actually planning on finishing the Tomb of Giants, but since we are here, we are quite close to the boss arena already. Why not, I say, why not do it? Is there an archer shooting me? Come on, man. How dare you? Okay, this guy is going to appear behind me, yeah. Just keep moving, keep zigzagging. Can I stun lock the archer? Oh, bad. Bad, bad, bad. Terribly, terrible. Not just bad. Absolutely terrible. Out of my way, out of my way. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. Tight. But it worked. Okay, okay. Let's focus. And another hit. Alright, that was intense, but we have survived. There we go. So, no stun lock. Sorry, no stun on a two-handed weak attack with the halberd. Kinda funny how the claymore can do it, but the halberd can't. And they do weight the same, I believe. It's 6 units, yeah, same weight. And the armor is terrible in physical defense. Yeah, that's one of the lower points of Dark Souls 2, I think. Physical defense and poise is kinda useless. And it's weird because, in my opinion, the system itself is great. The logic behind poise, you know, of Dark Souls 2. The idea that poise only works while you are doing things, while you are moving or attacking. That works. I like that idea. It's just that the numbers are kinda messed up. Poise is too weak, and weapons deal way too much poise damage, so you might as well not have poise. It doesn't really do anything. Oh yeah, why Way of White send people against the Gravelord? So the excuse is clerics are sent into the catacombs to retrieve kindling, or the Rite of Kindling, which used to be something kept by Nito. Later it was stolen by Pinwheel, but it was kept by Gravelord Nito. That's the excuse. This is what the church will tell you. The underlying reason might actually be just to get rid of undead clerics. Because we know the church conducts undead hunts. We know they kill undead. But it would probably paint a negative image for them to kill their own members. So, when a member of the church becomes undead, suddenly they are given the right to go on a holy mission to acquire the Rite of Kindling for the sake of mankind. Is it a suicide mission? Yeah. But that's besides the point, you know. You have been granted the right to acquire the Rite of Kindling, to go on this holy journey, to strengthen the Way of White. So, don't think about it, just go on this journey, you know. Take this giant chicken leg and this shield with a mild passive health regeneration effect and go acquire the Rite of Kindling. Also, you did not just see me miss these easy attacks on this guy. That's an illusion, you didn't see it. Okay, so let's try to be strategic here. Bam. Oh, nice. Knocked him down on his ass. Okay. Another hit, and there we go. These in-wheel copies, they drop white titanite chunks. Again, I was about to say large titanite chunks or something like that. Nito is the one who brings rest to undeads, not funny. I'm not sure actually, because he's meant to bring death to people. It really depends. It really depends. I have this theory. Here we go. I have this theory, which is basically original humans couldn't die. They were built different. Not only they were as powerful as one of the original lords, you know, or having a fragment of the dark soul within them. They were probably incapable of dying. Because that's what happens with the curse of the undead, isn't it? We lose the ability to die, instead we just respawn. But then we learn that the curse of the undead is actually just humanity's nature appearing, coming to the surface. So if the curse of the undead is actually humanity's true nature, and the curse of the undead stops us from dying, one can imply that the original humans, before they had their power sealed away by Gwyn, they couldn't die either. They were essentially eternal, immortal. And Gwyn being one of the Great Lords, and the Great Lords being the guys who banded together to weaken humanity, to seal away their power, I think Gwyn had a hand at fabricating this seal, the Dark Sign. Possibly a group project between the Witch of Izalith, Gwyn, of course, and Nito. Where is it? There it is, the Dark Sign. And this is why humans in their weak form, that is, their quote-unquote human form, they can die. They get to actually die because Nito gave them death. They didn't have that before. Nito gave them the ability to die. Make sense? Thank you for attending to my second TED Talk. I do hope it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I did make a video talking about it. I believe it's titled, Why Did Gwyn Fear Humanity? It's on my channel. Be sure to check it out. But yeah. Humans having the ability to die was probably humans being nerfed, essentially. We weren't supposed to die, you know. We were given mortality by the Great Lords. And we are about to face one of the Great Lords, actually. So, not terribly well prepared for this boss fight. I could bring so much stuff to this boss fight. I could bring magic barrier, you know. But I think we're going to be okay. I am going with the Claymore once again, so I can stunlock the skeletons more easily. And I am going to use lightning a lot, so let's go with the Ring of the Sun's Firstborn. Are you ready, chat? Let's do this. Let us do this. Obligatory fall damage, which kinda pisses me off, but... half my health. Did you guys see that? Half my goddamn health bar. Come on, Miyazaki. Good luck. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, that's the... yeah. That's that. So the trick here is sweet spot. Not too far away, where he just spams that attack. but not so close where we can't even do anything. Okay, that's 3 skeletons down. Kinda want him to come to me though. Lightning. Ooh, good damage. More lightning. Chug. Okay. Ooh. Nice block. And he stays there for quite a while. That's bad. Run and block. How did that hit me? I was facing it. Okay. Dodge and punish. Yeah, he stays there for quite a while after attacking. No combos. Oof. A bit too late on the dodge there. Okay. This again. Let's face the right direction this time. Yeah, that's better. Ooh, good damage. Let's use more lightning because it's the brunt of my damage really. Where most of my damage comes from. AoE again? No, no, no. Okay, weird attack. I can do this though. That's an easy first try. That's the AoE again. Get away and block. Okay, we got away far enough this time. I love how he's cloaked in shadow. Look at this. It's so cool. Jump attack. Yeah. Lightning Spear to finish. And let's cheese some souls out of him. Where is it? There we go. We did it, chat. First try. First Lord Soul. First try. I love doing this fight as a faith build. Feels very fitting, you know. A paladin facing against the Lord of Death. GG, thanks Cindy. Very fun boss fight. Simple but very fun. So you mean human was hollow in the first place, and then after the first flame we have life and dead separately. And then Way of White consider undead is a plague, which is recreated by their lord. Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what I mean. Humans, as we know them in our human form, they are basically a forgery. Humans are not meant to be like that. The original humans were what we call undead. We don't really know what exactly are the original humans, because what we have as the undead are basically humanity's true nature kinda rotting away in prison, you know, being imprisoned for all this time, and then bursting out in one go as this seal around humanity weakens. So even that may not quite be the original humanity, you know. This madness which inflicts humans, the hollowing itself, it only really happens because their true nature was sealed away for so long, and then it comes out of nowhere, basically. But the original humans, they were creatures of dark and possibly immortal, is what I'm trying to argue. Alright, chat. That was fun, I've gotta say. So, let's read our first Lord Soul, shall we? Lord Soul, Soul of Grave Lord Nyoko, first of the dead. This Lord Soul was discovered at the dawn of the Age of Fire. Grave Lord Nyoko administers the death of all manner of beings. The power of this soul is so great that it satiates the Lord Vessel, despite the fact that much of its energy was already been offered to death. So I like to think that this means Nito is nerfed, basically. We're not even fighting him at his full power, because most of his power was already offered, you know, to death. But still, very, very interesting. Let's light this up. And let me disconnect and connect again to see if anything changes here. The lore is sarcastic somehow. It is. It's ironic. We are fighting to preserve the Age of Fire, but that's not really how things are meant to be, right? The cycle of nature in Dark Souls is there is light, then there is dark. And after dark, there is possibly light again. We don't know. But it's meant to be a cycle. All of this game's story happens because Gwyn betrayed the cycle. Because he found a brute force way to keep the Age of Fire going and to not allow the next cycle to begin, which is the Age of Dark. And that's why all of this happens. All of this. And I love this so much. It's such an amazing story. So chat. Armor ahead, indeed. Let me give you a like, as a matter of fact. There. We have defeated Gravelord Nito, and this body can be found inside of his boss arena. And on its person we find the Paladin armor. Again, quite tragic for our character here. Finding what is essentially the body of his childhood hero, basically. Let's have a look at it. I've also picked up Leroy's weapons. I should read those as well. So, Paladin armor. Armor of Leroy, Paladin of the Catacombs. Excuse me. Long ago, the Way of White produced its first undead, a paladin in golden armor. With the legendary treasures Grant and Sanctus, Leroy set out for Lorethrough, Land of the Gods, in the first undead mission of the Way of White. So this guy is the first undead knight to be sent into the catacombs. We do know that this practice continued after him because we also have Rhea and her entourage, who are basically doing the same thing. That armor has the highest curse resistance in the game. I believe it does, yes. At least some of its pieces have the highest curse resistance. 57, let's compare it to like Havelset. 22, yeah, nowhere close. 0 on the Sanctus overcoat. 22, 2, 0. Yeah, very high curse resistance. Which might explain why he resisted hollowing for so long. If you associate hollowing with a curse, which may or may not be linked, there may be some relation between these things, but it might explain why Leroy was able to fight his way, fight all of the way up until Nito's arena, without hollowing. So that's his armor, and we also have Grant, the giant holy chicken leg. A weapon which I criminally have never used. I have to make a strength faith build and use it at some point. So, Grant, a legendary weapon of the Way of White granted to an undead paladin long ago. This mass of iron can only be lifted by those with inhuman strength, but it is blessed and very effective against agents of dark. This is another point that I raise during the original power of humans theory. The constant use of this expression, inhuman strength. If one requires inhuman strength to use all of these weapons, Grant, the Zweihander, the Great Sword, the Great Axe, why is it that our character, why is it that we can use it if we are humans, And the answer to that would be, we are becoming more powerful than typical humans were meant to be, because we are coming closer to our true nature as creatures of dark, basically. We are growing powerful. Gwyn's idea of humanity is weak. They can't use these large, heavy weapons, but the original humans could. Lots of lore, everyone, lots of lore. I believe we've picked up a shield as well, but I'm going to leave it equipped so that I remember to read it first thing on the next stream, because I am going to end this stream here, I believe. It's time we call it a day. It's more like we are a vessel of souls. Yeah, but think about it. We use souls to level up, right? What if that's a power original humans had? We could absorb power from our fallen enemies to become stronger. Again, I talked about all of that in my video, the True Power of Humanity video, so I'm just letting out a lot of random information here. In that video I managed to actually make a cohesive argument out of it. So if it sounds interesting, be sure to check it out. But yeah, chat, let me switch to our endgame screen, or rather end of stream screen. Again, I'd like to remind you that the beautiful art you see here was made by Cindy, who is in the chat right now. She's our moderator and our channel artist. Be sure to check her socials to see more of her stuff. She has her own YouTube channel as well. This was fun, chat. This was a fun stream. Hope you guys liked it as well. Yeah, true. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Cindy, for your help as always. Thank you, Uchiha Madao, for sticking around. It was nice having you. You remind me of a guy in my country, by the way. Slow-paced, role-playing build, talking about lore. Kinda distorted it. He ain't using any kind of magic tool, only that claymore knight set. Sounds like my kind of YouTuber, honestly. Be sure to leave a comment if you can remember his channel name. I'd like to check him out. But yeah, that's the style I like to go for. Slow-paced, explore the game little by little. Unraveling the game's story as I go. And I do like strong builds, but I tend to try and balance a bit of roleplay and a bit of gameplay as well. Let me try to remember it. Yeah, sure, man. If you can't remember it now, excuse me, I'm getting tired. If you can't recall it now, that's alright. You can leave a comment in the VOD later. All of these VODs, by the way, are organized in a proper playlist, which you can find on the channel as well. And if they are a bit too long to watch, there is also a playlist for the actual Lorethrough series, where I kinda cut the VODs into smaller pieces and do a little bit of editing, just for ease of consumption, if you will, to make them more digestible. Those videos are also subtitled, so if you like to watch videos with subtitles, you can check those. The VODs aren't subtitled, unfortunately. If you are Brazilian, the videos are also subtitled in Portuguese, which is my native language. So, both English and Brazilian Portuguese subtitles. Shout outs to my fellow Brazilians if there's anyone watching, by the way. Feel free to leave me a hi in the comments. McCoy Game 7067. I'll be sure to check this guy out. Thank you, Uchiha. Alright, folks, but that is going to be it for me today. Again, thank you to everybody who is watching. Thank you Thank you, Uchiha, for sticking around and talking to me in chat. You have yourself a great weekend, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.